A fantasy gold mine in the making? It's time to break down the Utah Mammoth Hockey Club and a whole bunch of young fantasy guns on the rise. Let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, my fantasy fanatics? Welcome back inside the lab to your daily 30-minute source for everything fantasy hockey related. It's the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast coming in hot with our latest episode covering every single squad in the NHL and their top 5 fantasy targets, so you are ready and armed to take your league by storm. Shout out to the everydayers holding us down and making us your first listen. Shout out to my esteemed co-host, Mr. Steele Rodin. You guys know what it is. It's your boy Big Flip here trying to get you guys a leg up in the offseason. It's the dog days of summer, Steele. Feels a little bit odd to be talking about the Utah Mammoth now that we know that's for sure. Very intriguing list of fantasy players here. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited to talk about these players and also to see what they can do next season. Over to you. I got a couple of honorable mentions, some stream options. I have a feeling our list is going to be a little different on today's show.
How nice is it to finally talk about this Utah organization and finally say Mammoth? Mm-hmm. Or, you know, we were trying to, Utah Hockey Club, we can finally call them the Mammoth. The logo's sick. The uniforms are sick. I'm excited to see what they get going in the offseason as well. I think Bill Armstrong is going to be very active at the free agent frenzy come July 1st. We've already seen a couple of trades. We've already seen a couple of signings as well, but I'm excited to see what Utah does. And this is a fantasy goldmine. I really do think there's so much value with this team going into the next season. And at number 5 on my list, I have Karel Vejmelka. I talked about him a lot throughout the last couple of years, especially last season. I had him on a few different of my fantasy hockey teams, and I thought he played really, really great hockey. 26 wins, 22 losses, and 8 ties, 1 shutout, a .904 save percentage, and a 2.58 goals against average. You know, still pretty low, but we all know that the save percentage across the league has gone dramatically down over the last 5 to 7 years. A .904 save percentage for this team and where they're at right now, I'm fine with that. The 2.58 goals against average, he was stellar there. So this team's getting better and better. The defensive core is getting better and better as well. I'm excited to see how they hold up in front of him. But I like Karel Vejmelka a lot. I think this is a guy that falls exactly into that 0G strategy. Yes. I don't even think he was drafted last season. He had 0 ADP. So maybe a few people drafted him or a few teams drafted him, but he was one of those goaltenders that was most likely picked up off the waiver wire. I think he gets drafted very heavily this next season, and I can see him going somewhere in the 14th, 15th round. Again, 0G strategy. I like the way he plays. I think he's very mobile. I think he's very smart. You see a lot of goaltenders sometimes swim and get a little bit chaotic in the crease. I think he's such an athletic goaltender. And where this team is headed right now, I like him as the number 1 guy. I also like Connor Ingram as well. So both of them could be a 50-50 split, but I would give the favorite over to Vejmelka.
I love that you're highlighting this player in the 5 spot. I got him in the 5 spot as well. He proved that he can be a number 1 goaltender last season, and this is a very young team. Let's be clear. Let's get that out of the way very early on in this episode because their time is coming, Steele. I thought about this before the show, and I think next season is hard to maybe fully get behind that they're 100% a playoff team. It makes sense, though, and they're pointed in the right direction. And
it depends what they do this offseason.
Like a case in point with every single team we've kind of spoken about, this is going to be a wild July 1 window, rinse and repeat. However, that Western Conference was wide open for a good chunk of the season. And I think this team is going to have a good shot at making the postseason. And a lot of that is going to run through their goaltender in Vejmelka, who had shown over previous portions of seasons that he can get it done. And I know he was rocking a sub 900 save percentage over his entire career. 904 last year with this team is really impressive. He comes in at 5 Steele. I love it. Honorable mention quick, and not a ton of hate if you have a guy like Nick Schmaltz in your top 5. Honorable mention to Nick Schmaltz and to Sean Durzi. And I wanted to highlight this player because I think he's going to be very overlooked, Steele. Yeah, he was hurt last year, but I really like this player. He has not played a full 82-game season in his career. He's only 27 years old. Last year, limited to 30 games, 11 points, 52 block shots. This guy covers peripherals, Steele. He chips in with some PIMs. 2 years ago, 63 penalty minutes and 160 block shots. So in terms of honorable mention, a lot of GMs are going to overlook Sean Durzi. And I'm not saying go rush out there and grab him, but he is the prototypical fill-in on your blue line as your last player. Quickly, number 4, who are you looking at? I love Vejmelka at 5, though.
Well, I also have a couple shout-out honorable mentions as well. You talk about Durzi. I talked about Kesselring a lot throughout Monday waiver wires. I like what he brings to the table on the blue line as well. I think Jack McBain's also an honorable mention, especially for banger leagues, penalty minutes.
Both of them.
Brings the physicality. I'm going to throw Barrett Hayden in there as well.
Yes.
He's a bench player. I think, again,
stream.
There's some times where he gets to a point where he gets cold and he's almost droppable, but he still finished with 20 goals, 26 assists, 45 penalty minutes. So all 4 of those guys that we just mentioned, I think, again, this is why they're a fantasy goldmine, because there's just so many young players on this team that you can pick up on Monday for the waiver wires throughout the week. You can stream them with good schedules. At number 4 on my list, I have Logan Cooley.
Boom.
And that just goes to show how much value I'm putting in the top 3 guys, because I love Logan Cooley and what he did last year on the top line with Clayton Keller. 75 games played, 25 goals, 40 assists, 46 penalty minutes. Again, hits, block shots. You're not going to get a ton of them. I hope it starts to increase as he gets older. He's still 20, 21 years old. Had 158 shots, 63 hits, 32 blocks. Logan Cooley was the 4th Utah player in the Yahoo fantasy rankings at the end of the season, pre-ranked 197th, finished 123rd in the league. So I think this is a player that, because he is more of a playmaker, and now that you have a sharpshooter in Dylan Guenther, you have a superstar in Clayton Keller, we're going to talk about them.
Yes.
The fact that Logan Cooley is more of a playmaker, I think it just spreads the ice open a little bit more, creates some opportunity in the offensive zone for those goal scorers that I just mentioned that we're going to talk about. So I like the way he plays. Again, I'm excited to see what happens this offseason, because I think if they could add a right winger on that top line, and I've already hinted at maybe Mitch Marner. I know it's not on his list, but how great of a top line would Mitch Marner, Logan Cooley, and Clayton Keller be in Utah on the come up right now? I know it's probably not going to happen, but I would be ecstatic if it did. That's just me, but I think there's a lot of value in Logan Cooley somewhere around, again, I think you can get him somewhere around the 11th or 12th round.
On the come up indeed, good sir. This is a team that you have to have your eyes on. Very well said. If anyone's going to make talking about the Utah Mammoth in the middle of a heat wave, in the middle of the summer, Steele, it's you, my friend. So I appreciate it. And you said it spot on. You knocked it right out of the park. And I think there is a very potent mix of offensive studs here that this Utah team has compiled over the last couple of years. And let's not forget a couple of angles here. Before we get to break, I also want to talk about what this team is going to look like next year in this top 3, Steele, is how about what they have coming up? Maverick Lamoureux, Tija Ginla. They have that good Russian kid that his name is escaping me. They're also Shimashev. They're drafting 4th overall in this draft. They're going to get another good young player if they can figure it out. And I know Sean Durzi is a name that flies under the radar, and this isn't the Sean Durzi show.
It might be.
It might be soon. The 30 games that he played and missing that big chunk of the season, 52, that definitely impacted this team on the back end, because they had the 10th best power play in the NHL, Steele. And I'm going to say, you'll back me on this one, that I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the top 6 or 7 this year with no problem. So wanted to throw that out there. We got the top 3 coming up around the break. We got an NHL-wide breakdown of every single team's top 5 fantasy targets for next season coming in hot, and make sure you guys don't miss the July 1 window coverage. Steele and I will break it all down for y'all. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Wonderful Pistachios. If you want a snack That's nutritious. That packs that protein punch. You got to be coming in hot with wonderful pistachios. We're loving both varieties. In shell, no shell. You can grab them at your desk on a road trip. They're the perfect snack that brings you that protein boost. One of the healthiest nuts out there. You should be grabbing wonderful pistachios anytime you want that snack. Check out Wonderful Pistachios today. Get snacking and cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button. Leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Flip Livingstone and Steele Rodin. Number 3 on the Utah Mammoth list for top 5 fantasy hockey targets going into next season. I've got Mikhail Sergachev, ADP last year of 102.3.
Same exact
he was
list,
getting
Steele.
drafted in the late 9th to early 10th round. I think that's exactly where he should be going once again. And I actually do think Logan, Cooley, and Sergachev could be, kind of interchanged in those 4th and 3rd spot. But because we are in categorical leagues, we play with the blocks, the hits, and penalty minutes and that such as well. I think this is why I have Sergachev at number 3. Really good season his first year in Utah. 53 points, had 15 goals, a career high for him. 77 games played. I'm a little surprised that the hits have gone down over the last couple of years. Went from 128 hits down to 36 and then back up to 61. The blocks have been a little bit inconsistent as well at times, but you can still kind of foresee somewhere between 100 to 150 blocks. But he had a career high 25 minutes of average ice time this year, career high for him. So I think, again, this is just going to increase. This is not a player I believe was he quarterbacking the first power play unit? I can't remember exactly, maybe at times, but I believe it was mostly from my recollection, Sean Dursey at times as well. I'm trying to think about who it was. Maybe it was Sergachev on the back end.
I believe so. When Dursey came back, I know he was getting a look too, but that's something that I know
Kesselring was getting some looks as well. Anyways, I have Sergachev at number 3. I just think this guy at 26, 27 years old, he's just getting into his prime. He's 6'4", 215 pounds. He's just an absolute beast out there. So his first year in Utah was a success. And again, this team's going to get better next year. And I actually do think they will be in a playoff spot come April. So we're going to talk about that obviously closer to the start of the season for our preseason predictions. But I like this team and where they're headed right now. They've got a lot of value up front on the blue line and in the crease.
It's straight up exciting. And yeah, a lot of that is tied to the young offensive guns that we had. I don't know how many episodes you and I, and we've done this before, top 5 targets on every team, where we're the exact same. And I think that just goes to show you that this team really does start to flash that fantasy goldmine moniker. And you were right. I believe Sergachev held down that top power play unit for most of the season.
Yeah.
I think an addition here is really going to spread this team's depth out. I very much expect them to be trying to make a splash. They've been involved in every big name out there, Steele. Does that mean they're going to get themselves a big name? No, but they'll definitely get an impact player, or they might have to overpay for one. Who knows?
Jason Robertson's available.
I don't know what your take is on that. We should probably do a little rumor wrap-up episode because that Jason Robertson situation is a little bit wild. But, hey, when you got Mikko Rantanen in there now for all of that money, perhaps he's expendable. Anyway, Mikhail Sergachev cannot be the same said. This guy is the number 1 D-man in Utah for the foreseeable future. And I would say one of the reasons why those hit numbers have gone down, Steele, and I know, he was injured the previous year, so obviously they went down. I think it's just him having to play more of a responsible game. He did have to eat some minutes there for Victor Hedman when he was hurt. When you have to be that guy and the responsible leader on the blue line, it's a little bit tougher to play a loose run and gun, throw your weight around type game. So maybe that was happening here, and I think that will return to his physical edge and a bit of a nasty nature. Let me hit you with this, though, quickly. I like to bring up that NHL.com top 200 fantasy players. They re-released it 3 days ago, and I want to hit you with this. Utah Mammoth. I wanted to say Yeti, too. You know how bad I wanted the Yeti. Clayton Keller comes in at 39 on the list, the number 1 ranked Mammoth. Dylan Guenther comes in at 43, the number 2. I believe we have this breakdown accurate. Mikhail Sergachev, 97. Logan Cooley, 105. And then Karel Vejmelka at 195. Nick Schmaltz, 193. So I think we're spot on here with this list. And I totally, wholeheartedly agree with you that there is an improvement coming for this team. I'm excited to see what they can do, Steele. Like I said, 10th best power play in the NHL last season. Got to tighten it up a little bit on the back end. The penalty kill, very middle of the rung. Young team, they need time. They'll get there.
Yes, they will. Number 2 on the list. Again, we probably have the exact same list.
Yes,
Dylan Guenther comes in at number 2.
Yes,
absolute sharpshooter, absolute goal scorer now. He's established it. I love how every single year throughout his first 3 seasons, and I know his first year he only had 33 games and second year was 45, but I love that every single year he's almost doubled every single category. Went from 6 goals to 18 goals to 27, from 9 assists to 17 to 33, 15 points to 35 to 60. I'm projecting 75 points for Dylan Guenther. I think he's going to hit 35 goals this next year. He had 29 power play points on the season, 12 of those being power play goals, had 204 shots, 53 hits, 42 blocks. This was probably one of the biggest value picks across all fantasy hockey platforms.
For sure.
He was getting drafted and on average 199.2. So he was getting drafted in the early 17th round on average. He ended up finishing 38th on Yahoo at the end of the regular season.
Wow.
So a tremendous value pick. And he's already established himself as a goal scorer in the National Hockey League for the Utah Mammoth. So this is going, both you got the Yeti, I got the
We're
Hockey
struggling,
Club. We're struggling over here again. Heat waves in Ontario, but this is going to be interesting because again, they've got a lot of really good young players. They've got most of them under some really good contracts as well. And I'm just trying to pull up how much cap space this team has.
Oh, they're going to have some.
They're going to have a lot of cap space real quickly. Total cap space, $21 million. They have $21 million in cap space. They've got really good deals to both Keller and Guenther. Those two guys, or Gunther's the only one that's locked up long-term. There's only 3 more years for Clayton Keller, but he'll get a pretty good payday as well. Sergachev is locked under long-term. So they've got a lot of guys on one-year contracts right now. Going into this offseason, I'm super excited, like I've already said multiple times now. But Dylan Guenther comes in at number 2 for me.
This guy is a shooter, Steele. He has one of the more underrated shots, and I don't think it's going to be underrated for very long. This guy's already flirting with a 35-plus perennial goal scorer type swag, and I could see him as a 40-goal man. Is that going to immediately happen just because of the progression? Possibly not, but I think what we're seeing here is more than enough proof in the pudding. This Utah Hockey Club finished 6-2-2 last year in their last 10 games down the stretch. A goal differential of only, minus 10 isn't that bad when you're looking at some of those other teams around there. The Flames minus 13, really good couple of clubs that were just on the outside looking in. Not really good, but good. Utah, keep your eyes peeled on them, I think is what we're trying to say here, Steele. And Guenther and the next player we're going to talk about in Clayton Keller, they're really, really starting to solidify themselves as fantasy stars.
Yes, they are. We're going to get to Clayton Keller right after the break. But first, this episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing. I know we're all upset that the basketball, NBA finals and NHL finals are all done with, but summer sports, it's in full swing. Whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting than it already is. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling and interesting, placing some money on bets on these games? With FanDuel, you can get it in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned on the beach. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button. And Flip, you used a really interesting word for Dylan Guenther, underrated sharpshooter, underrated goal scorer. I have the exact same description for Clayton Keller. I think he's the most underrated and overlooked superstar in the National Hockey League right now. I have said that he is a superstar in this league for the last year and a half, 2 years now. And look at what he's done on 3 consecutive years now. He's been very durable for one. He's only missed 5 games in the last 3 seasons, but 3 consecutive years of 30-plus goals, 3 consecutive years of 75-plus points, just had a career year of 90 points, and 3 consecutive years of over 215-plus shots. I don't care about blocks. I don't care about hits because he's putting up 37 power play points, 27 of them being assists. So I think, again, alongside Dylan Guenther, huge value pick when you draft Clayton Keller. He was going on average 70th point one, so in the late 6th to early 7th round. He ended up finishing 27th in the Yahoo fantasy rankings at the end of the regular season. I absolutely love this player. He's one of the most skilled guys in the National Hockey League. Again, that's overlooked. I know there's a ton of skilled players, a lot of top 10 guys, but Clayton Keller for me is right up there. I think he is a 2nd to 3rd round pick. I don't care about reaching on him, especially in a 16-team league. I think he can be a late 2nd round pick, but maybe more accurately a 3rd round pick.
I think it's funny that we obviously put so much emphasis on peripherals. And when a player is this good offensively, sometimes you got to throw that out the window a little bit because, and rein me back in here like you do so well. 86 points in 82 games in an all-star season in 2022-23. Somehow no one really spoke about it except for dedicated hockey fans. I'm not trying to say, Steele, you and I are the only ones on Clayton Keller. But in general hockey circles, he's overlooked most definitely. Then 76 in 78, and then his best season yet. Is it too bold to say we still haven't seen his best season? And I know 90 points is sensational. I still think there might be a little bit more in the tank. And I don't want to say 100 points for anybody is an easy task. And Clayton Keller, that might be a reach. Maybe he is more of a 80 to 85, and that's still okay. He does both things so well. And when I mean both, I mean create for his teammates elite scoring chances, which we've seen him do, but he can also shoot that biscuit. And when you skate with the ability and that high motor that he has, in any other market, Steele, he's a superstar. So I would say I can go with the best is yet to come, but maybe it's just going to continue to be the best because I would be very fine with another 90-point season. Somehow, Steele, 218 shots on net. I feel like that should be 318 or more.
Just wait until we drop our bold predictions episode
later
in September. I'll be talking about Clayton Keller then. This guy is an absolute tremendous skill for this Utah club. And again, look at all their players. Clayton Keller, 26. Cooley, 20. Schmaltz, 28. Guenther, 21. Sergachev, 26. Hayton, 24. This might be the most youngest team in the National Hockey League. And you just mentioned all of those prospects that they still have lined up, plus the 4th overall pick this upcoming draft. This is an exciting time. Utah is in for a treat. This is going to be an absolute buzz city going into the opening season in October. Clayton Keller, number 1 on the list, number 1 in my heart.
That is true. I believe they did play this season in Utah, but it's their 2nd season. And the more important factor, Steele, it's the Mammoth, baby. We're getting behind it.
We are getting behind the Mammoth. Thank you so much. Make sure you're tuned in to the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast every single day. Thank you so much for making it your first listen. For your second listen, make sure to check out the Locked On NHL Podcast. There is no offseason, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter most with local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. From your boys here, Flip Livingstone and Steele Rodin, we wish you good luck with all those summer bets, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.